plans for a tax raid on superannuation are splitting Labor, with former Minister Simon Crean saying he will oppose any moves to tax earnings on retirement savings. Today, Finance Editor Ross Greenwood is here now. Ross, this is a big deal. I mean, if it happens, it's going to be a big deal for lots of Australians. What are the chances of it? What are you reading?
There's no doubt about that. And as we indicated here last week when we're talking about this, the government's got a perfect right to tax whomever it wants to. It's the implication, a political implication of doing that is very important. Now, Simon Crean, when he basically brought on the leadership challenge that ended up being a fizzer, said at the time that he did not believe in the class warfare that the Gillard government is engaging in. He also indicated that he really felt as though a raid on superannuation was effectively trying to tax people's surpluses to try and cover up the deficits that the federal government has got itself. Now, what we know from economic forecasts now is that the surplus that was supposed to be a $1 billion surplus is now likely to be a $20 billion deficit.
Wow.
Think about forecasting that. Imagine a chief executive forecasts a $1 billion profit, ends up with a $20 billion loss, and the implications of that. Well, the government's also got to pay for the Gonski education reforms, $5 billion, plus potentially the National Disability Insurance Scheme, potentially up to $17 billion a year. And so they're now wanting to bring on a debate to say that maybe superannuation is the place that they should be taking that money from.
OK, the difficult thing for them on this is that, you're right, yes, they can tax whatever they want, but these are our savings. That's where the average Australian is going to arc up, and I'm guessing Tony Abbott is going to beat the drum as well, because he can say, no, you can't touch this. These are people's savings.
Well, the interesting part about this, and this is where Simon Crean comes into this, and even Bernie Fraser, the former Reserve Bank governor, who was the face of super as the chairman of Australian Super. He was the man who really made popular the industry super funds. What they're saying is, hey, you're supposed to govern for all Australians. Now, Craig Emerson, the Trade Minister, he's been saying, well, we think we could actually snip those people who are earning more than $180,000 a year. The whole question about this is, if you're governing for all Australians, you can't retrospectively, after they've put their money into super, say, right, we're going to change the tax rate. That is where the argument of Simon Crean comes in, and where certainly Labor, I think, will have genuine difficulties trying to get this through.
And just quickly, you mentioned that $20 billion figure. This is what the projections are now for the budget deficit?
That's right. So, in other words, rather than the country in this financial year making a profit of $1 billion, it was promised and promised and promised and promised, and then they dumped that promise in December last year. Well, now it seems most economists are believing that the loss that the country could make this year, in other words, the addition to our debt, could be an extra $20 billion.
Huge. Ross, thank you for that.